Hare Krishna. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivashadi Gaura Bhaktavranda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gauranitai Ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Shri brihadbhagavatamrita Ki Jai. Purushottammas Ki Jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhaktavranda Ki Jai. Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Okay, let's recite these prayers. Brahmadaya Shri Prahlad Uvacha Brahmadaya Suragana Munayota Siddha Satvaikatana Gatayo Vachasam Pravahai Naraditum Purugunai Raduna Pipipru Kim Toshtum Arhati Same Hari Ugrajate Manyedana Bijana Rupa Tapashritojas Teja Prabhava Bala Paurusha Buddhi Yoga Naradanaya Hi Bhavanti Parasya Pumso Bhaktya Tutosha Bhagavan Gajayutapaya Vipradvisad Gunayutadaravindanaba Padaravinda Vimukat Svapachamvarishtam Manyetadarpita Mano Vachane Hitartha Pranam Punati Sakulam Natu Burimanaha Naivatmana Prabhurayam Nijalabha Purno Manam Janata Vidusakkaruno Vrinite Yajjano Bhagavate Vidadita Manam Tachatmane Pratimukasya Yata Mukashri Tasmadaham Vikata Viklava Ishvarasya Sarvatmana Manigrinami Yata Manisham Nicho Jayak Guna Visargamanu Pravishta Puyeta Yena Hipumana Nuvarnitena Sarve hi ami vidikarastava sattvadamno brahmadayo vayamiveshana chodvijantaha shemaya bhutaya utatma shukaya chasya vikriditam bhagavato ruchiravatare tadyacha manyum ashurascha hatastvayadya modeta sadhurapi vrishchika sarpahatya Lokascha nirvritimita pratiyanti sarve Rupam narsimha vibhayaya janasmaranti Naham bibemi ajitate bhayanakasya Jivarka netra brukuti rabasugradam shrad Antrasrajak shatajakeshara shanku karnan Nirada bita digibat aribinna kagrat Trastosmyaham kripanavatssala dushahugra Samsara chakra kadanat grasatam pranitaha Baddhasva karma birushattamate muulam Pritopa varga sharanam vayase kadanu Yasmat priya priya viyoga samyoga janma Shokagnina shakala yonishu dayyamanaha Dukkaushadam tadapi dukam atadiyaham Bhuman brahmami vadame tavadasya yogam Soham priyasya shuhrda paradevataya Leela katastava nirsimha virincha gita Anjasti tarmi anugrunan guna vipramukto Durganite padayugalaya hamsa sanga Balasya neha sharanam pitaro narsimha Nartasya chagadam udanvati majjataunau Taptasya tat pratividiryayhanga sheshtas Tavad vibhotanubhrutam tvadupekshitanam Yasmin yato yarhi yena cha yasya yasmad yasmai yata yatu tasyastva parapparova bhavak karoti vikaroti pritak svabhava sanchoti dastadakilam bhavatasvarupam maya manasrijati karma mayam baliyaha kalena chodita gunanumatena pumsa chandomayam yad ajayarpita shodasharam samsara chakramajako titaretvadanyaha Satvam hi nitya vijitatma gunasvadamna kalo vashikrita visrijya visarga shaktihi chakre visrishtam ajayeshvadashodashare nispidyamanam upakarsha vibho prapannam drishta maya divi vibho kila dishnapanam ayushriyo vibhava ichchati yanjanoyam yesmat pituk kupita hasa vijrimbita bru Vispurjitena lulita satute nirastaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'll read that. 13. O my Lord, all the demigods headed by Lord Brahma are sincere servants of your Lordship, who are situated in a transcendental position. Therefore, they are not like us, Prahlada and his father, the demon Hiranyakashipu. Your appearance in this fearsome form is your pastime for your own pleasure. Such an incarnation is always meant for the protection and improvement of the universe. Hare Krishna. So last week we took a slight detour, literally. We had a look at the different planetary systems. And if you remember the journey of Narada Muni, we saw how it started with Prayag. From there he went to South India. From there to Swargaloka. From Swargaloka he went to Satyaloka. And from Satyaloka he went to Sadashivaloka. And from Sadashivaloka, today he is going to go to Sutala planet. Sutala Loka, which is below us, 3 planets below us. Atala, Vittala, Sutala. So he is going to Sutala planet to meet Prahlad Maharaj. So after hearing the glorification of Prahlad Maharaj from Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, Prabhupada says he is a transcendental spaceman. He can travel anywhere and he can travel at the speed of the mind. So here specifically there is a reference that's given by Parishit Maharaj. He says Narada Muni was in Sadashiv Loka with Lord Shiva and he is thinking, I want to go to Sutala. And he says next second he was in Sutala planet. So he was traveling, it's given, he traveled by the path of the heart, meaning all he has to do is just a desire. Like we see Krishna also has got so many energies or Shakti. It's given Jnana Bala Kriyacha, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Sri, Bhu, Nila, Icha Shakti, Vibhuti Shakti, Karuna Shakti, you will come across. Devotees also, pure devotees of Krishna, also they are bestowed some of those Vibhutis by the Lord for special purpose. That's why we use the term to even denote or qualify an avatar as Sakti Avesh avatar. Normally, which is humanly not possible, becomes possible by some special power that is bestowed upon by the Supreme Lord Krishna. So here is one such Vibhuti we see. Now this Vibhuti is just like Krishna also has got Icha Shakti. Apta Kama, one of Krishna's name. Apta Kama means whatever he desires immediately gets fulfilled. He doesn't even need to endeavor. He just needs to think, even without thinking. All these energies, they are personalities, they are at his beck and call, they just wait. As soon as they know Krishna wants something, immediately they'll run and do. Just like a king may be there, as he walks in the assembly, he will be attended by so many servants flanking him. And all they would need is just a little gesture, a little signal from him. And they would immediately run to fulfill the order. So same way, each of these Shaktis also act in that way. So here Narada Muni is thinking, I want to go to Sutala, and immediately he is there in Sutala planet. So there, now we'll see the conversation between Narada Muni and Prahlad Maharaj. So he goes to see Prahlad Maharaj, and as he sees Prahlad Maharaj from far, he sees Prahlad Maharaj sitting in meditation. Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Instruction, verse 8, you can read the purport. Prabhupada there, he gives details about Smarana. Normally when we think about Smarana, Navvida Bhakti, we say Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We sometimes think Smarana means you just sit there and close your eyes and think. What happens usually when you close your eyes? We fall asleep. So Prabhupada, he explains that Smarana also happens very gradually in a systematic fashion, and Prabhupada gives the details there. You can read Nectar of Instruction, text 8, purport. So there, first of all, on a high level, Prabhupada says, to come to the process of Smarana and to attain perfection through that, it's a 4-step process. First step is called Shravana Avastha. First we need to hear. Everything starts with hearing, Shravana Avastha. After we hear, we then get attached to hearing. We accept the knowledge, we accept the sound vibration, and we get attached to it. That's called Varanavastha. That's the second stage, Prabhupada says. By repeated hearing, we get attached to hearing. Varanavastha. Then, third stage is called Smaranavastha. After hearing, after getting attached to hearing, comes remembrance. And then after remembering, one then goes to the perfection of life, wherein simply by remembering the Lord over a period of time, one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord gets revealed, and that stage is called Sampati Dasha. So, Shravana Dasha, Varana Dasha, Smarana Vastha, Sampati Dasha. 4 stages are there. And then Prabhupada breaks it down even further. Prabhupada says, actually Smarana Vastha has 5 different stages. So on the top level there are 4, but the third stage, Smarana Vastha, has got 5 stages. It's not just after you get attached to hearing, you immediately remember. Remembering also happens in stages. Just like in chanting also we have Nama Parad, offensive chanting initially we do. Nama Bas, then shadow chanting, and then Shuddha Nama. You then go to the third stage wherein you chant purely. So similarly, even in remembering the Lord, there are 5 stages. First stage, Prabhupada said, is interrupted remembering. We will remember the Lord, but then we will forget also. We get distracted. How many of you have that experience? All the time. We try to remember and then we immediately forget. Again we think, no, we have to remember, and then again we forget. Interrupted, that's the first stage. Second one is uninterrupted. So, one progresses from interrupted chanting or interrupted remembrance to uninterrupted. And the third step, Prabhupada says, is uninterrupted and concentrated. It can be uninterrupted, but your meditation can be very shallow. Understand? That's the second stage. Third stage is when it's uninterrupted, but it's not shallow, concentrated. Not going here, there. You are very, very focused on meditating on the form of the Lord. And that stage is what we normally call as dhyana. Okay, so then after dhyana comes the next stage. Prabhupada says it's called anusmriti. So that stage is when our focus is uninterrupted, concentrated, meditation expands, and then it becomes a constant. It doesn't move here, there. Which means when the mind gets fixed in it, then it doesn't divert from anything. In fact, all you can think is only the form of the Lord, nothing else. Nothing else will come to your mind. You will come across Prahlad Maharaj. Even when he was a little boy, Bhagavatam says, sometimes he would sit in Gurukul class, suddenly he'll start to cry. Because of the such deep, concentrated remembrance of the Lord. He would sometimes laugh. Ashtavikara Bhav, he was demonstrating, he was experiencing even when he was a little boy, 5-year-old boy. So then we have from dhyana, then you have anusmriti, and then finally 5th stage is samadhi, when anusmriti expands and one stays completely focused. Okay, the advanced stage of that, Prabhupada explains that as samadhi, as what we say in the Ashtanga Yoga process. So meditation, we should not take it that I can just lie down and meditate. I can just do whatever that I want and meditate. No. Meditation, there is a systematic process that Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Instruction. Now, why is remembrance given so much importance? For that you can read Nectar of Devotion. In Nectar of Devotion, Srila Rupa Goswami says, the Nectar of Devotion, obviously, how many of you have read Nectar of Devotion? There are 4 sections called as the wave, eastern wave, northern wave, southern wave, western wave. What is part of, if you are doing Bhakti Shastri course, what's part of Bhakti Shastri course is the eastern wave. Now, who framed that syllabus? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So, he gave that syllabus. So, Bhakti Shastri course doesn't cover the full book of Nectar of Devotion. It covers only one section of it, 1/4 of it. That's Eastern Wave. Now, if you take why Eastern Wave is important, that has 19 chapters, 16 chapters focuses, of 19 focuses only on sadhana bhakti. How are we supposed to practice bhakti? So, in that sadhana, after enlisting everything, different rules, 64 items favorable, things you are supposed to avoid, everything, Rupa Goswami finally says only one rule. And he says, whatever we are reading here, everything is subservient to this one single rule. Anyone knows that? Tena kena prakarena mana Krishna nimeshet sarve vidhi nisedyasyur etyor eva kinkara smartavya satatam Vishnu vishmartavya najatuchit sarve vidhi nisedyasyur etyor eva kinkara. Always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. This is one single rule which is considered the king of all the rules, or in other words, every other rule of the Shastra is subservient, or kinkara means servant. Etayor eva kinkara means for this single rule, every other rule is kinkar. Okay, every other rule is just the servant of this single rule. So remembrance is always emphasized. Krishna also you will see, where tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha, you will come across Krishna telling to Arjuna. Therefore Arjuna, mam anusmara yudhyacha, always remember and fight. Okay, first thing is we have to remember, then we can fight. Usually we fight and then we think about Krishna. Even normally. So, we are not supposed to fight. If you think about Krishna, you will not fight. But this instruction is given for Krishna, rather Arjuna. So, he is saying always remember me and then execute your duty as a warrior. Okay, so emphasis is given so much on this one single point. Bhagavatam also says, Ante Narayana Smriti. Whatever you can do in this whole life will be tested with that one single condition. What is it? At the time of you quitting the body, how much can you remember the Lord? Okay, so always we should train our mind to remember. So what does it mean to remember Krishna? You read 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada quotes it almost half a dozen times minimum in this chapter purport. Prabhupada says, remembering means chanting Hare Krishna. Because we can't remember. Even if somebody talks to us, hey, listen to me. Already you are talking. But you have to still tell the other person, please listen to me. Because when you talk to someone else, you can already see their mind distracted. Sometimes you talk to a person, they'll be talking, halfway through they would forget that they are listening to you and they'll look here, there. How many of you have experience? And then you are lost and you think like, hey, what is this person thinking about me? We have to stop them and say like, look. So that's how powerful our thought process is. So here Prahlad Maharaj, he mastered this particular process of bhakti, Navvida bhakti, 9 different types of bhakti, of which Prahlad Maharaj is epitomizing. He is considered as the topmost devotee when it comes to remembering the Lord. Prahlada, this is Chapter 4, Bhakta. First chapter is Bhauma, which is earth. Second chapter is Divya, which is heavenly kingdom. Third is Prapanchatita, which is beyond the material creation, which is Shivaloka we discussed. And now, fourth chapter is called Bhakta. So this particular chapter, we will be hearing about the glories of both Prahlad Maharaj and Hanumanji. So Lord Shiva is sending Narada Muni to meet Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj, he would also politely refute the glorifications of Narada Muni, and then he would direct Narada Muni to meet. He won't direct him, he would talk about Hanumanji, and then Narada Muni would go to Hanumanji. Prahlada, the best of the Vaishnavas, was in a secluded place, absorbed in loving meditation on the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Seeing the Brahmana Narada approaching from a distance, Prahlada quickly stood up and then offered prostrate obeisances as Narada came close. And next verse talks about how he offered worship to Narada Muni, like how we do Guru Puja. Sometimes when our spiritual master is here physically, we do Guru Puja for them also, for their Vapu. So same way, here, Prahlad Maharaj, he is seating Narada Muni on an elevated seat. Who is Narada Muni to Prahlad Maharaj? He is his Diksha Guru. Okay, so he is giving respect to him that is accorded to saintly personalities like Narada Muni. Text 4, Sri Narada said, "Now after so long I have finally seen you, the true recipient of Krishna's full mercy." Every place, this is how Narada Muni's first utterance starts. Now my efforts have borne fruit. From your very childhood you have been endowed with pure devotion for Krishna. Such spontaneous love has never been seen anywhere before. By virtue of that pure devotion, you overcame terrible obstacles, the thousands of outrages your father committed against you, and by your influence, all the demons became Vaishnavas. While immersed in meditation on Krishna, you seemed to forget your existence. Like a madman, you danced and sang and called out loudly, your body trembling. In this way, you spread devotional service unto Lord Vishnu, delivering all the worlds from the cycle of material life and filling them with joy. When Lord Krishna appeared on the shore of the ocean, he placed you on his lap and caressed you like a mother. Now Narada Muni is going detail. First he is glorifying Prahlad Maharaj, and now he is glorifying specific qualities or specific experiences which Prahlad Maharaj had with Lord Narasimhadev. First point, in the previous verse, he was saying how Prahlad Maharaj, he delivered all his classmates. When Narasimhadev offers Prahlad Maharaj, ask for any boon, come with me to spiritual world. If Supreme Lord comes to you and says, come with me to spiritual world, what would you do? Immediately you will grab, my Lord, please don't change your mind. What does Prahlad Maharaj respond? Prayena deva muniya svavamukti kama maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta naitan vihaya kripana na vimumuksha ego nanyam tvadasya sharanam brahmatonu pashya. He says, my Lord, I have seen many yogis. Prayena means, usually that's the case, that's what prayena means. Prayena deva muniya. There are many saintly munis, saintly persons who are interested sva vimukti kama. Kama means desire, swa like swadharma, swarupa. Swa means one's own. Sva vimukti kama means what? All they are desiring is their own liberation. Prayena deva munaya sva vimukti kama. Now in order to facilitate their own liberation, what they are doing? Maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta. They go to the forest of Himalayas and they wander about here, there, taking the vow of silence. In 8th canto of srimadbhagavatam, you see Gajendra. How many of you know Gajendra? All of us. Who was Gajendra in his previous life? King Indradumna. Not to be confused with King Indradumna of Puri. Okay, Indradumna Maharaj of Puri is different. This Indradumna, he is a South Indian king in Dravida Desh. I was thinking most likely a Tamil. And he One day he has already ruled his kingdom, taken Vanaprasth, goes to the forest, have his bhajan kutir, sitting inside in silent meditation, taking the vow of silence. And at that time Agastya Muni comes with his disciples. He doesn't notice him. So Agastya Muni, he curses him, saying, you don't know how to receive saintly people. I have come with my disciples also. So you have behaved like an elephant. Why elephant? Elephant usually looks very big. But the intelligence of elephant is not very proportionate, to the body size. Understand? Intelligence is small, just like for anyone, but the size is big. So he says, you are a great king, great devotee, you should know this. And he curses him. Now, if you pause this pastime and you observe it, it looks very unfair, correct? Because he is a great king, great devotee, sitting there meditating. Prabhupada gives a very beautiful purport in 8th canto. Prabhupada says, actually by cursing Indradumna, he had actually done him a great favor. Why? Because of that curse, in next life, he becomes an elephant. And in next life, what happens? Vishnu comes, he gets to see Vishnu face to face. And Vishnu personally takes him back. If you fast forward the whole pastime, by the way, that particular pastime, Falastuti, if you read, specifically one point is mentioned 2 times. Shukadeva Goswami, he says, how many of you here have experienced bad dreams in life? What a silly question. 2 verses back to back, Shukadeva Goswami says, if anyone want to completely come out of that experience of going through bad dreams in life, they should hear and read Gajendra's pastime. 2 times it's given. Bad dreams, or if you come across anyone, sometimes even kids, you can teach them Gajendra Moksha Leela. Reciting verses is good, at least they can hear the pastime. If nobody wants to hear, okay, at least you can read. Whichever way you go, Krishna have got you covered. Some sense you have to engage somehow. For bad dreams, that is given as the antidote. So you can actually read that, but it gives so much more. Falastuti itself goes, Vishnu, in that instance, that particular form of Vishnu, his name is Hari. The one who came in front of Prahlad Maharaj, what's his name? Prishni Garbha. The one who comes in front of Gajendra, one who came to deliver Gajendra, that form of Vishnu, his name is called Hari. So Hari, he gives a whole series of verses about what are the different personalities you can actually remember and you get pure devotional service. We can have a separate class just on that section. Reason why I am saying is, of all the 100 items he lists there, not exactly 100, so many items he lists. Whoever remembers you, whoever remembers this lake, whoever remembers Trikuta mountain, he goes on saying. And suddenly out of the blue, he just throws this name, whoever remembers Prahlad Maharaj. Even though Prahlad Maharaj has no relationship with Gajendra in that pastime at all. But he just lists, whoever remembers me, whoever remembers you, whoever remembers, Devatas, he gives a list of personalities or paraphernalias that are related to Vishnu. And then at one point he says, whoever remembers Prahlad Maharaj. That's how dear Prahlad Maharaj is. For Vishnu, so much so, he is reciting his name in a completely different yuga, different kalpa, different pastime, and he is saying, you can remember him also, like that he says.
Sorry, so how do you appear before Gajendra is the form of Vishnu, and Krishna Gaba appeared before?
Dhruva Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj is so dear. For Supreme Lord to even remember us once is such a great benediction. But for Supreme Lord to remember someone 24/7, we have to understand that that devotee must have pleased the Supreme Lord so much. He is holding the devotee so close to his heart, he cannot but always remember and recite his name. Just like devotees always can't stop chanting Krishna's name, Krishna also can't stop chanting his pure devotee's name. We'll read that in the final chapter of this part, 7th chapter, you will see. When Lord Krishna appeared on the shore of the ocean, he placed you on his lap and caressed you like a mother. So Prahlad Maharaj says, there are people who, or sages, they are only worried about Swavamukti Kama, their own Because of doing, or because of wanting their own liberation, what do? They take the vow of silence. So Prabhupada says, vow of silence is only for people who speak nonsense. But for those who knows what to speak, how to engage the power of speech, Prabhupada said they should be talking about Krishna 24/7. Like Mohan Prabhu, distributing books. So we should be aspiring to talk about Krishna 24/7 because we know what we are supposed to talk. Kirtaniya Sadahari. Maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta. Now these two lines, if you say, first line, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, those saintly people, svavamukti kama, they are worried only about them. Maunam charanti vijane na parartha nishta. They are not interested in others. Normally when you say, one person is selfish, what is implied there is, they are not selfless, correct? Does that make sense? First line, Prahlad Maharaj is saying, these people, they are worried only about themselves. And second line, he is saying, they are not worried about the others. In Vedic culture, sometimes the same thing is actually said repeatedly. Can you think of any verse that speaks about like that? Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Vekalam. 3 times it's given. Kalau Nasteva, Nasteva, Nasteva. Vikriditam Rajavadupir, Idam cha Vishnu, Shraddhanvito Anushrunya Datavarna Yedya, Bhaktim Param Bhagavati, Pratilabhya Kamam, Hridrogam, Ashu Apahinoti, Acharyanadira. Hridroham. Simply by hearing about Krishna's dealings with the gopis, Krishna Lila, Hridrogam, the lust that's residing in one's heart will go away. How soon will they go away? Hridroham Ashu, quickly they'll go away. Apahinoti, Achiryana, without delay they'll go away. What's the difference between quickly, Ashu, and Achiryana? They both mean the same, but in the same line 2 times he uses. Hridrogam, Ashu, quickly and without delay they'll go away, like that he says. Likewise you will come across Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Vekavalam. Or Namam Virinchi Nabhavo, Nashrir Hapi Anga Shamshreha, Prashadam Lebire Gopi, Yattat Prapa Vimuktidat. This is a verse that Shukadeva Goswami says in 10th canto of Srimad-Bhagavatam to glorify Mother Yashoda. He says this particular fortune, mercy which Krishna has showered upon Mother Yashoda, it's not experienced by, he didn't give this mercy to Na Imam, this mercy, Virinchi is Brahma, he didn't give to Brahma. Namam Virinchi, Nabhava, not to Shiva. Nashri, not to Sridevi also, which is Lakshmiji. 3 times he says. Which means that mercy is very, very special. That's what it means. So here also Prahlad Maharaj is saying, Svavamukti Kama, Maunam Charanti Vijane, Na Parartha Nishta. They are very selfish and they don't care about others. Naitan Vihaya Kripanan Vimumukshayako. My Lord, I actually, on the other hand, I want to be here and I want to deliver. Prabhupada travels, or rather translates, Naitan Vihaya Vimuda. He says, this I want to actually stay here to deliver all this. Prabhupada translates that as fools and rascals. From this world, and I want to bring them. Apart from surrendering to your lotus feet, there is no other way I see for them to be delivered from this world. So this is mode of Prahlad Maharaj, which is glorified here by Narada Muni. Then Narada Muni is saying, when Vishnu came, he kills Hiranyakashipu. After that, what did he do? He picks up Prahlad Maharaj. Have you seen that artwork of Lord Narasimhadev standing and having Prahlad Maharaj caressing just like a mother giving a pat? Have you seen that? That's not a speculative art. Reference for that is here. It's given here. After he killed, he picked up Prahlad Maharaj, held him here, holding him very tightly, embracing, like how a mother would do its baby. And what does the mother do after holding the baby here to make the baby child sleep? They'll pat, right? That's exactly what he did. As well as he was rocking. It's okay. It's over. This is what Narasimhadev did. That's what it's given here. This particular verse you can go through. This is in chapter 4, brihadbhagavatamrita, text 7. When Lord Krishna appeared on the shore of the ocean, he placed you on his lap and caressed you like a mother. Thus he honored you, ignoring Brahma, Shiva and other demigods offering prayers. Now again, one point, like even when the verse which I quoted now, Namam Virinchi Nabhavo, Nashri Rapi Anga Shamsheha, some verses you will come across Krishna saying, oh my dear devotee, nobody is dear to me, even not my own body, not even Mahalakshmi, not Shiva, not Brahma. It doesn't mean they are actually not important. They are also important, but does that mean Krishna is lying there? No. Acharyas explain reason why Krishna speaks like that. Sometimes you see this favor is given only to this particular devotee. Krishna dances on top of Kaliya. Nagapatnis come and they sing. Kasyanu bhavosya nadeva vidmehe. My Lord, we know our husband, as far as we could think, he doesn't even like hearing about you. And to him, you have danced so much, giving all dust of your lotus feet, something attaining for which Lakshmiji has to sit and do thousands of years of penance. Like that, it's given. So here, when you come across those verses, Acharyas explain that they are all eternal associates of Krishna. Shiva, Brahmaji, he is a pure devotee, Sridevi, everyone. But the reason why Krishna actually sometimes says, you are more dear to me than everyone else, because they have always been devotees. They didn't have to go through the trials and tribulations which that particular devotee in question had to go through. So Krishna appreciates that. So much endeavor, so much difficulty you had gone through. Oh, you are so dear to me. So in that context he says. And the other demigods offering prayers and even ignoring goddess Padma. Brahma, terrified, begged you to approach Sri Narasimha. So Brahma asks Prahlad Maharaj to approach Narasimhadev to offer prayers. And when you fell at the Lord's divine lotus feet, the Lord stood up and raised you from the ground. He put his lotus hand upon your head and began to lick your entire body. Now again, this is another very intimate dealing of Narasimhadev to his devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Now Narasimhadev is behaving like a lion. How would a lion take care of its cub? Okay, or a dog would take care of its puppy, or a cat licking its body. So Narasimhadev is picking him up. First of all, he is touching his head, and Prahlad Maharaj feels so enlivened. And same effect you will come across when Dhruva Maharaj, when he sees Prishnigarbha, he doesn't know how to offer prayer. Then Prishnigarbha, he touches his shanka on his head. Same thing it's given. For 1000 celestial years, Gajendra had to fight with crocodile, who was Huhu. 1000 years he couldn't drink. Prabhupada says crocodile was actually chewing rather. So it's feeling very much nourished, taking. And it's also in the water. So simultaneously he is drinking also. Have you got that experience? Sometimes you'll be carrying so many things. And then you'll feel thirsty. Prabhuji, somebody will actually help you. You can still do. That's what the crocodile was doing. Simultaneously he's fighting with the Gajendra. But because it's in water, it's also getting its food. Some huge crocodile. Fishes would go straight into his mouth. He's drinking water. He's feeling nourished. On the other hand, elephant is in the water. He has no food. 1000 years, no food. So it just kept on going back and forth. Very tired. And he finished offering prayer. So when Vishnu comes, it's mentioned Vishnu just touched him slightly like that. And he immediately became relieved from all his bodily distress. He becomes rejuvenated. So here, Brahma is also, or rather, Narasimhadev is also now holding Prahlad Maharaj as if touching not enough, embracing not enough, rocking back and forth is not enough. He is now licking. He put his lotus hand upon your head and began to lick your entire body. So that reference is in Brhad Narada Purana. Hare Krishna. When Lord Hari, with most attractive and clever enticements, tried to offer you the supreme abode, you showed no interest in liberation, which is prayed for by Brahma and by everyone else. Rather, you asked only devotion to Lord, birth after birth. Responding to your Lord's love, you agreed to assume your father's throne, which is Hiranyakashipu's throne. As you told Lord Narasimha in your prayers, by doing this, you wished to help deliver all the people. You are still on that royal seat, fixed in meditation on Lord Narasimha. You once went to Naimisa forest to have darshan of Narayana. We were touching on this pastime last week. Once Lord Pitavasa, who is the presiding deity in Naimisharanya, Prahlad Maharaj goes to see him, but on the way, he comes across a renunciant who is carrying bow and arrow like a Kshatriya. So he thinks this person is a pseudo-Kshatriya or pseudo-renunciant. So he starts to fight, saying, I swear I'll defeat you. And then they both started dueling, engaged in a duel. And then at the end of the day, they both take a break and they both take rest. Next day again they continue. So this way the fight was going for so many days. Prahlad Maharaj was not able to defeat him. And finally one day morning, Prahlad Maharaj does his puja. After offering the garland to the deity, he then goes to fight. And much to his surprise, he sees that personality wearing the same garland he offered to the deity. That's when he recognizes, this is the same Lord who I came to meet here. Then he falls at his feet, prostrating obeisances. At that time, he asks for forgiveness for not being able to recognize the Lord and fighting with him. Vishnu, he feels very blessed and he embraces him. And then Prahlad Maharaj says, my dear Lord, I have already, as part of my Kshatriya duty, I already made a vow that I will defeat you. What will happen to the vow now? And then Vishnu says, oh, don't worry, I'm always defeated by you. Don't worry about the vow. And then he takes him. So he says here specifically that you are not only staying in one place in Sutala planet meditating on Lord Narasimha, you also get the darshan of the Lord in other places as well. Likewise, you will come across another pastime of Prahlad Maharaj meeting Naranarayana Rishi. Okay, in Badrika. Badrika was also known as Vishala. In some places in Shastra, you will come across this place. Likewise, like Dwaraka is already ancient, but there is another ancient name for Dwaraka. It's called Kushasthali. You will come across some places where that term is used. It's actually the same place. Okay, just like we have Kasi, Banaras, Varanasi. Same, every name is already ancient, but there are more ancient names than that. And later on also you will come across Prahlad Maharaj in one of the reasons when he refutes, he says, Narada Muni, he says, my dear Gurudev, you are calling me as the most fortunate. Actually, many newer devotees, they had much more mercy than me. I am just a very tiny speck compared to them. And if you read the purport, newer devotee, he refers to Hanumanji. Compared to Prahlad Maharaj, Hanumanji is just a recent devotee. So you can imagine how old Prahlad Maharaj's devotion must have been. How ancient, how senior Prahlad Maharaj must have been. So he says, compared to me, many newer devotees like Hanuman, he says like that. Okay, so here, Sri Parishit continued, having said this, Narada, the ocean of ecstasies in devotion to Lord Hari, began to dance. That intimate servant of the Lord shouted, conquered by us. Sri Narada then said, O best of Vaishnavas, why should I say that Lord Mukunda has been conquered only by you? Your grandson Bali, chief of the Daityas, has also conquered him. By your grace, Bali keeps the Lord as his doorman. So he says, repeating the words of Lord Shiva, that because of Vishnu's relationship with Prahlad Maharaj, his son benefited. His grandson benefited. Great-grandson also benefited. Son is Virochan, grandson is Prahlad Maharaj. Bali Maharaj. Great-grandson is Banasura. They both benefited. So currently, Narada Muni is now shifting his focus to Bali Maharaj, saying, simply to favor you, Supreme Lord has come and staying at your grandson, which is Bali Maharaj's doorstep, as the doorman. From now on, I intend to stay here permanently with you. By your power, I shall certainly be able to overcome the curses I received from Daksha and others. What curse did Daksha give to Narada Muni? Anyone knows? So Daksha, he has 10,000 sons. They are called Haryashvas. Before they could ascend the throne, he sends those 10,000 Haryashvas to go and do tapasya in the forest. This is the induction. So in those days, there is no election to choose king. They send the prospective kings, first of all, to prepare themselves spiritually. So they go to forest to do tapasya. So while they are going on the way, Narada Muni meets them. Now, reason why I laugh, you'll come to know if you don't know this story. Then Narada Muni meets them and he gives big brahmachari class. At the end of the class, all 10,000 choose to take sannyas straight away. So rather than getting ready to become king and go back, they all become sannyasis and they don't go home. Daksha gets upset by Narada Muni. Then next time, again Daksha, he does tapasya. Now he is blessed with another 1,000 sons. They are called Bahulashvas. So then he sends them, go to the forest, do tapasya and come back and ascend the throne. These 1,000 sons go. Narada Muni interrupts them again. But this time, Narada Muni doesn't waste time. He says, see, I don't want to talk much. You see, your brothers are there, just go and have a chat with them. So this time the 1,000 sons go, they also become sannyasis. Daksha, when he hears his second attempt also failed, he gets very upset. And then he curses Narada Muni. I curse you that you will never be able to stay in one place for more than 3 days. Then Narada Muni says, thank you, that's exactly what I wanted. Then he starts his traveling Sankirtan. That's the starting. Now here he is saying, Narada Muni is remembering that actually Prabhupada also says in one place, I have 108 palaces throughout the world, but I can't stay in one place because of the curse of the parents of my disciples. Like that Prabhupada says in one place. Likewise, all Hare Krishna devotees, we will all carry this curse of Narada Muni. Prabhupada says, which means we have to keep on traveling and sharing this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. So here, from now on, I intend to stay here permanently with you. Narada Muni is telling to Prahlad Maharaj, by your power, I shall certainly be able to overcome the curses I received from Daksha. So he is humbly putting himself. You are a great devotee, Mahabhagavat. You can help me counteract this curse which Daksha gave me. So by your mercy, I can permanently stay here. He's saying like that. Sri Parishit said, unable to tolerate hearing his own praise, Prahlada lowered his face in embarrassment, bowed down before Narada, and respectfully addressed him in a quiet voice. And now you will see the refutation of Prahlad Maharaj. Now Prahlad Maharaj, unlike, if you see in the past, when we saw Narada Muni heaping praises on, let's say, Lord Brahma, Brahma would first close all of his ears, all the foreheads, and then at one point, Brahma actually tells to Narada Muni, because who is Narada Muni to Lord Brahma? He is his disciple, he is his son. So he tells him, Vishnu Maya, this is very complicated. Because of that, sometimes truth becomes Maya and Maya looks like truth. Sometimes even we get influenced. Indirectly he is saying, you considering me as the Supreme Lord is effect of Maya on you. This is how he is chastising his own son. Understand? Likewise, when he goes to Shiva, Shiva has a more friendly relationship with Narada Muni. Because Shiva treats Narada Muni as his brother. Shiva comes as son of Lord Brahma. Narada Muni is also son of Lord Brahma, so they both deal with each other as brothers. So the refutation will be more on a friendly, banter style. Indra is a different case. Indra treats Narada Muni as Deva Rishi and he refutes on that platform. Prahlad Maharaj's position is very unique because his own Diksha Guru is coming and glorifying. How can you tell to your Diksha Guru that what you are saying is wrong? Understand, this is the predicament of Prahlad Maharaj. So Prahlad Maharaj, I was hearing glorification actually of my Guru Maharaj by one devotee. And then he was saying, once Prabhupada actually went to meet Srinathji Prabhu's father in Mumbai. And at that time he told Srinathji Prabhu's father that you see all these Westerners who have come here taking up Krishna consciousness, please arrange for them to stay here permanently. Arrange for citizenship for them to stay here. So then Prabhupada, to emphasize how important they are, Prabhupada says, They are not ordinary people. They have come from spiritual world. And then he points at my Guru Maharaj and he says, you see that boy, he is eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. And then Srinathji Prabhu's father says, sure Swamiji, we will do. And then later on my Guru Maharaj says, when they were coming back to wherever they were staying, my Guru Maharaj asked Prabhupada, I am so sinful, I am so fallen. I just come from hippie culture. And you are saying I am eternal associate of Lord Chaitanya. Prabhupada immediately retorted back saying, don't doubt the words of your Guru. Like that he says. And my Guru Maharaj says, that was the last time I inquired about it. So when your Guru says something, it is true, you have to just take it. You don't refute back. It's for the same reason Arjuna, he comes down from the position of being a friend of Krishna. He goes down and he says, Sishas deham shadi mam tom prapanam. Which means, so far whatever you have said, I may agree, may not agree, I can refute, no problem. I may have even sarcastically spoken to you. But from this point onwards, whatever you speak, there is no question of arguing. I'll just accept it. So Prahlad Maharaj's position is unique. Why? Because his own Guru is telling him. Now he can't openly refute. He can feel humble, but he can't openly refute. So if you carefully read Prahlad Maharaj's responses, he will refute the glorification, but he won't refute in the same tone as what Brahmaji did or Lord Shiva did. He will refute indirectly by throwing a different light on each one of those facts, which Narada Muni had mentioned. Does that make sense? So he won't say what you are saying is wrong. He would say, actually Gurudev, he will then divert his attention to someone else. Because of that reason only it happened. How could it happen because of me? How could it have happened because of me? This is how he will go one after the other. We will go through Prahlad Maharaj's refutations here. Prahlad Maharaj said, my Lord and spiritual master, please reconsider everything you have said. A young boy simply cannot understand correctly the science of devotional service to Krishna. So that's the first refutation he is giving. My Guru Maharaj, recently in one class, somebody asked, why are we not giving initiation, Harinam Diksha to kids? Then my Guru Maharaj is responding, well, kids usually lie. So you can't, it's a 4 regulator principle, chanting 16 rounds, have you chanted? So my Guru Maharaj says, that's why we don't give. They need to grow, become a little more mature to be able to take that responsibility. Then only you can. So here, first point Prahlad Maharaj is saying is, a young boy simply cannot understand correctly the science of devotional science of Krishna. He is saying, when Narsinghadev came and offered his blessings to me, I was just a 5-year-old boy, and whatever I did, you are my spiritual master, you asked me to do, I did, and he came. Where is my credit? I didn't even know what I was doing. This is the first point he's saying. Second, he's saying, still when one receives instructions from great souls, those instructions have the power to awaken one's higher understanding, and then one can engage in devotional service to Lord Hari. Therefore, it is not a sign of greatness that ordinary persons like me can persevere despite terrible disturbances, give spiritual enlightenment to children, behave like saintly persons, show compassion to suffering souls, or refuse the boon of liberation. So he's saying, I was just a little boy, I didn't even know what I was doing. You just told me to follow, I just followed. It's because of me trying to follow you, Supreme Lord being pleased, he came down and he blessed me. Where is my greatness here? Merely from these symptoms, the best of the saints do not conclude that Krishna has given a person his mercy. Krishna's mercy, blessed Narada, appears only in a truly worthy servant. So he is saying, like Narada Muni, he said, even when you are young, have you seen that artwork of Prahlad Maharaj dancing with his friends, raising his arms, and all the little kids also they do. So here Narada Muni is saying, you chanted and danced. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, merely from these symptoms, raising up and chanting and dancing, we do it as a part of our sadhana bhakti. So that's the whole point of sadhana bhakti. Prabhupada, he says in one place, Vaidhi sadhana bhakti means you do because I ask you to do. That's it. I here refers to Guru Tattva. Spiritual masters say, Shastras say, Krishna says, we follow. That's it. Whether we like or not, it doesn't matter. That's Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. Okay, you chant 16 rounds. You have to do. You feel like, will we ever feel like chanting 16 rounds? It's not possible. So there is no question of what we feel. It's Vaidhi means, comes from Vidhi, rules which we simply follow. You know, when you drive on the left side of the road, I feel it's a bad idea. You can feel whatever, you still have to drive on the left side of the road. Otherwise, you will be penalized. So this is Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So Vaidhi sadhana bhakti, one of the items of worshipping is you chant and dance in front of the Lord. Like that, I was just doing my duty. This is not a great symptom of my elevated status. So Prahlad Maharaj is saying like that. Merely from these symptoms, the best of saints do not conclude that Krishna has given a person his mercy. I have never performed any real service for the Lord like Hanuman and others. Now he is slowly dropping the name of Hanuman. He will come back again to Hanuman later. Now this is a very, very important point. Let me go back to that point of feeling. Prabhupada in 26 Second Avenue, that's the very first ISKCON temple. They are still renting that place actually. The very same place where Prabhupada started ISKCON. You can still go there and see. So, Prabhupada, one day when he walks, everyone bows down. And then one disciple of Prabhupada, Narada Muni Prabhu, if I am not wrong, he doesn't. Prabhupada calls him, why are you not bowing down? Then he says, Swamiji, I don't feel like. Then Prabhupada says, no problem, you keep bowing, naturally feeling will come. You know? And then true enough, after 2 weeks, Narada Muni Prabhu, then he goes to Prabhupada and he says, Swamiji, now I feel, and Prabhupada smiles. Now we are making progress. And Prabhupada says, this is Vaidhi Bhakti. Imagine when your spiritual master gives you Diksha, at the time of initiation gives. So you chant when you feel like. Next day itself, you will forget where you put the beads. You know. Nobody will chant. So Vaidhi Bhakti means, Prabhupada says, that's why Diksha is a very, very important thing. 4 personalities, Prabhupada says, we take initiation in front of. Hari, Guru, Vaishnava, Agnidev. 4. Supreme Lord in the front of deities, in front of Guru, in front of all the assembled Vaishnavas, as well as in the presence of fire, Prabhupada says. So whatever we actually promise, we have to uphold, no matter what. So here he is saying, I have never performed any real service for the Lord. Now generally there is this thought process. Sometimes you will see, even among devotee circles, we tend to get lazy. We think, let me first become very perfect, then I will preach. That's not the mode of Prabhupada. Prabhupada's point is always, whatever you know, you preach that much. And you still keep hearing. So sometimes you will see argument also, if I preach, I'll expose myself to Maya, then I'll fall down. So what should we do? People also cite, this is why even many Prabhupada's disciples also fell down. But there are devotees who are not preachers, they also fell down. What can you do? That's the refutation for that. But once when this point came to Prabhupada about, actually Giriraj Maharaj, he writes this. He tells to Prabhupada, please bless me so that I don't fall down in Maya, like that he says. And then Prabhupada told him, fall down in Maya, you are always in Maya, like that Prabhupada says. Like Adi Purush Prabhu, he was giving this point, I think last week's class, he was saying, soul is very, very tiny. How tiny it is? It is so tiny you cannot cut it anymore. It's that tiny. We are already fallen. Where is the scope for falling down more? You understand? So we have nothing to lose. All these are lame excuses. This doesn't reflect mood of Prabhupada, doesn't reflect mood of a parampara at all. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached, Prahlad Maharaj preached, everyone you take, Shukadeva Goswami preached, Prabhupada preached, so we also need to preach. Whatever little we know, we should start to preach, but then whoever wants to preach, empowerment will come. Krishna will give that empowerment. We also read Prabhupada's books, we hear from other devotees. So this is how we learn. Each one teach one while being taught by one. So this is our principle. So we don't wait until and sometimes again another school of thought, I'm talking only in devotee circle. Another school of thought is, what's the point in preaching all this when the ultimate goal of life is in Nirjan Bhajan. Who said that? Prabhupada didn't say that. In one place, there is a conversation. I can even share it in the WhatsApp group, not WhatsApp group. What do we have? Google group. I'll share in that. There is a conversation. Tamal Krishna Maharaj is asking Prabhupada, Prabhupada, so Prabhupada says, so you keep preaching now, when you grow old, at that time you can retire. Then Tamal Krishna Maharaj is asking, Prabhupada, when do you say somebody is actually old enough to retire? Prabhupada says, that depends. And then Prabhupada is saying, I'm 80, I still don't feel I'm old enough. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj is saying, Prabhupada, if you say you are not old enough, then nobody can actually say that they are old enough to retire. Prabhupada says, yeah, like that. Which means Prabhupada doesn't want anyone to retire. What's the point in retiring? Retiring means to go back to Maya. Retiring from what? From Krishna consciousness. So we can't. So we have to be very, very clear. This whole idea of, I will just sit to focus on my bhajan, and then what do we do? And what is the guarantee that we will actually progress that way? Because our whole point of bhakti starts and ends with what Prabhupada said, period. We can quote zillion other acharyas, zillion other Vaishnava Shastras only. None of them have any potency on us. Our only hope to practice Krishna consciousness is we have the order of our spiritual master, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. And we have to simply take that and we have to follow. That's it. Whether I am qualified or I am not qualified, that's up to my authorities to decide. That's not for me to decide. Okay, so we have to be very, very careful because it's a very lazy man's excuse, to be honest. Each one of us, we have our capacity to do, yes, not everyone may be able to sit in Vyasasan and give class, fine. Not everyone may be able to distribute books, fine. Do something, preach to your neighbor, preach to your friend, preach to some other person who comes to the temple and do. But suddenly if we show humility, saying, oh, I'm not qualified. Who said we are qualified enough to pick the plate to take prasad? Mahaprasad. We have to be consistent in how we think, correct? There we think, no, I am qualified to actually take prasad. Who told you that? So be consistent everywhere. Understand? So we should not be lazy. It's just a very, very, sorry what? Lame excuse. Okay, that doesn't reflect the mood of Prabhupada at all. It's a very selfish way. Remember, prayena deva munaya svavumukti kama. The funny part here is, even by focusing on our own liberation, still there is no guarantee that we'll get liberated. At least let us try to please Prabhupada. That's all we can do. Okay, Harinama I can't lead, just to go with them, what's the problem? Isn't that what's given in Bhagavatam with Lord Ram? It's mentioned there are people who pleased Lord Ram by glorifying him. There are people who pleased Lord Ram by doing Homa. There are people who pleased Lord Ram by doing good to all the other prajas in Ayodhya. And there are people who did nothing, they just were in the assembly going with the Lord Ram. That's all they did. Even they also get liberated, it's given. At least we are here, do something there. Okay, nothing, okay, come to temple, at least sit and chant here. You don't need to even go outside. At least sit and chant. If a new person comes, they will feel inspired. But if we sit here, sometimes I have seen some devotee would very happily sing Harinam and everyone sits and watches nice musical performance. Happens. All the time it happens, unfortunately. So that's not the proper mood. The whole mood itself is wrong and Krishna consciousness will go dry if we do that. If we want mercy, in whatever capacity we have, we should be giving mercy. Otherwise, Krishna will be thinking, this devotee have already given mercy. What's the point in giving him or her more mercy if the mercy is not going out? If we become like a conductor, electricity comes, superconductor. We pass it on, then more will keep on passing through us. Kadamkana Maharaj gives a beautiful analogy. He says, our position is like station we have set up to give water, nectar to people who are coming from the desert, parched desert, totally thirsty. And each one is coming with a cup, mercy, please give me some water. And he says, so you have this big trough full of nectar, bottomless trough, unlimited nectar, and you are given a pitcher. Have you seen? In festival days we do, big one. Charnamrit goes out like that. Like that, you have a big trough. And you have people standing in queue. So Maharaj says, you scoop it, and then you give. Okay, next. And next. And he says, between two people coming, there will be some gap. During that time, you also can drink some. In this way, whoever who distributes mercy, they have access to unlimited mercy. Understand? Whoever just holds to it, Krishna will be thinking, anyway, chanting 16 rounds, shelter of Guru, anyway, you are not taking risk for me. You are anyway safe. Why should I give you more mercy? Understand? More mercy, more resources, more help is needed only when there is a need. If Krishna's name alone is enough, once japa alone is enough for one to go back to Godhead, then sit in your room. You can be in the temple, you can be in your home, you can be anywhere, doesn't matter. On the other hand, whoever takes the risk to come out of their comfort zone or even stay in the comfort zone, you don't even need to come out, at least inside the comfort zone, let us do something. Okay, otherwise we can come, sit here, or even don't come, sit online and hear, or don't hear at all about Prahlad Maharaj. We are not even following even a tiny bit of what Prahlad Maharaj is saying. Every day we are singing, we are glorifying Prahlad Maharaj. Unfortunately, we will all be clubbed under the category which Prahlad Maharaj is saying here. Prayena Deva Munaya Svavamuktigama. He is not bothered. Maunam Charanti Vijane Na Pararthanishta. 2 times he is condemning. 2 times he is chastising them. Svavamuktigama. They are only selfish. They are worried about them. Na Pararthanishta. They are not worried about them at all, others at all. Both means the same, but he is saying it 2 times. Okay, so here he is saying, I have never performed any real service for the Lord. He is saying, Hanuman, he did so much, my Lord. Practical service he did. I just sat down and meditated. How is this a great service? You praise me because he caressed me and showed other signs of affection. But some consider such affectionate behavior merely a false show of Maya, and others just a display of his pastimes. I think today we read that verse. Sarvehi ami vidikarastava satvadamno brahmadayo. That's the one. Vayamivesha nachod vijantaha shemaya bhutaya utatma shukaya chasya vikriditam bhagavato ruchiravatara. He says, Prahlad Maharaj says, my Lord, you coming down here in the form of a lion and displaying all this wonderful pastime, showing even your unparalleled rage, is simply a display of your pastime. Why are you doing? 3rd line he says, Shemaya Bhutaya Shuka Atma Shukaya. He says, Shemaya Bhutaya Uta Atma Shukaya. Shukaya means happiness. Atma Shukaya means one's own happiness. So why is Narsingadev coming down here to display this pastime of half man, half lion, ripping the body of Hiranyakashipu, so on and so forth? He is saying that is simply for Shemaya Bhutaya Utatma Shukaya. Simply for his own pleasure he is doing this. So he is saying, you praise me because he caressed me and showed other signs of affection. But actually my Lord here refers to his Guru. He is saying he came down, Narsingadev came down and displayed those pastimes just for his own happiness, as part of his pastime. You regard those affectionate displays as natural symptoms of his love, but I consider them no more real than a dream. Why is he saying this as a dream? Sometimes, why do you think people take selfie? Okay, someone goes, let's say, for vivid they go. Again you'll say one photo, this angle and then that angle, alone, and then 20 people together, Hare Krishna. And then they give flash poses also. Have you seen that? They keep clicking, so many of them. Why? Because everyone knows this moment is going to be very short-lived. And they want to capture it, save it, so they can register it for posterity. Otherwise, how will it look? It will look like a dream, correct? Something that happens so fast. Prahlad Maharaj is saying, you regard those affectionate displays as a natural symptom of his love, but I consider them no more real than a dream. Why? Yeah, it was there, it looks like a distant dream. Lord came, but he was there only for a short time and he's gone. So this one feels like a dream. How is this a symptom of real love? He's asking like that. And by the way, that happened when I was 5 years old. Do you remember? How old are we? Here Prahlad Maharaj was tens of thousands of years old when he spoke this. Remember, this pastime happened in Satya Yuga. Prahlad Maharaj being saved by Lord Narsingadev. But this particular conversation is happening in end of Dwapara Yuga. When Krishna is in Dwaraka, that's exactly the time when this is happening. Can you imagine how many hundreds of thousands of years would have passed? And if I ask you, what were you doing when you were 5 years old? How many of you remember? And how old are we? Okay, 80? I'm talking my age. No, even we don't remember. Okay, even though 40, 50, 60 years later, we don't remember. So he is saying, that feels like a distant dream, my Gurudev. The Lord truly gives His mercy. Saintly authorities believe when He grants the right to render various kinds of service. Very important. Truly gives His mercy. So how can we understand whether we are recipient of Lord's mercy? When we have seva to do. When we have service to do for the Lord, and that service can be anything. Bhakti Bazaar shop, cleaning the temple, cooking, book distribution, giving class, attending Harinam, making garlands, anything. Making sweets, eating sweets. Service. Service is Lord's mercy. Who is the true recipient of Radha Gopinath's mercy? Whoever who does service for them. They are the true recipients of mercy of Radha Gopinath. When He grants the right to render various kinds of service, a blessing He gives to such devotees as Hanuman, nothing else counts as His mercy. Furthermore, Sriman Narasimha performed his pastimes not to favor me, but to protect the demigods, His devotees, and deliver two of His eternal servants. We'll come to that. He also wished to uphold the truth of the words of Brahma and of others, such as Brahma's sons, and fully display the greatness of devotional service. These were the only reasons for His pastimes. In one verse, he puts so many reasons. First point, he is saying, I am born in Asura family, Hiranyakashipu's son, Asura Varya Dehinam, Nasadu Mani Asura Varya Dehinam. When Prahlad Maharaj addresses his father, he says, oh, best of the Asuras. Try saying that to a devotee will feel offended, correct? But here, he is addressing his father, oh, best of the Asuras. Prahlad Maharaj is identifying himself as, my father is a great Asura, I am also born in Asura family. Krishna, as Narasimhadev, he gave me his mercy simply to proclaim the power of devotional service, that, look, even somebody born in Asura family, how even such a person can be elevated to the platform of devotional service. Simply to do that, he gave me this favor, that's all. There's nothing so great about me. He wanted to establish about the supremacy of Bhakti Yoga process, that is why he chose me. And second point is saying, he didn't come down specifically only to protect me. He protected me, and then he gives a list of reasons. He says, he came to fulfill the words of many of his devotees. I am but a significant one. First devotee he is saying is Brahma. Brahma, when he appeared in front of Hiranyakashipu asked for a boon. Initially he asks for immortality, and Brahma says his usual reply, look, even I am not immortal, how can I make you immortal? So then Hiranyakashipu, then he comes up with a series of conditions. One of the conditions he says is, may I be not killed by anyone created by you. So Brahma says, tatastu. To fulfill that promise, Supreme Lord himself came. Second promise he is saying, when I was in the womb of my mother, Kayadu, and my father went to do tapasya, Indra at that time imprisoned Kayadu, taking her to the prison, and it was you who interrupted him, and at that time you told him not to kill my mother because she is carrying a great Mahabhagavat in her womb, which is me. Simply to fulfill your word that some Mahabhagavat is there, Narasimhadev made me as a pure devotee. So it's not for me, it's because Narada Muni said that. So he is saying like that. Third thing he is saying, he came down to protect his two gatekeepers, Jai and Vijay. We have Jai and Vijay here also. They were cursed by the four Kumaras, and as their true master, he has assumed this form, he can personally deliver them. Fourth reason he is saying, four Kumaras, after they curse Jai Vijay, they request Vishnu to reclaim back them just after 3 births. So simply to fulfill their words also, he has come. Fifth reason he says, Hiranyakashipu in Bhagavatam itself, there is one section where Hiranyakashipu says, this boy, he's talking about his son, Prahlad, he says, this boy, no matter what I do, he is unmovable. Okay, he is not moved from his resilience, determination to practice bhakti. He is exhibiting so much power, I think it's just gonna finish with me getting killed. He himself predicts. So he says, Hiranyakashipu, even though he is in a demoniac form, still he is your pure devotee. In spiritual world, because he predicted that he will be killed, you came down to kill. In fact, one Acharya writes, there are many instances where people cook so much bhoga, try to offer to Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord, whether he takes or not, only he knows. But here, after killing Hiranyakashipu, Narasimhadev climbs up and sits on the throne. Nobody invites him to sit. But the throne was made by Hiranyakashipu. So Narasimhadev, remembering his relationship with him as Jai Vijay, he goes and says, this is made by my pure devotee. No matter whether he invites me or not, I'll go and take. So he goes and sits down there on the throne. Honacharya writes like that. So like that, Prahlad Maharaj says, my Lord, these many reasons are there for Supreme Lord to come down to enact that pastime. I am but just one, tiny cogwheel in this whole dynamics, basically. I'll finish with this verse. O greatest of devotees who have nothing material to possess, when the personality of Godhead gave me a kingdom, I understood that I had not received even one atom of His mercy. Why? Because he feels, yes, I wanted to stay here to deliver all of the people as a full-time preacher. But Lord Narasimhadev, by giving the kingdom of Hiranyakashipu, which is very vast, I feel I'm entangled in my family material duties. Because of that, I'm not able to do bhakti properly. So I don't see this as a favor of the Lord. So he continues like that, a few more verses, and then he tells to Narada Muni, Hanuman is a better devotee than him, and then Narada Muni goes to Kimpurusha Varsha to meet Hanuman, and then Hanuman will give. So in this way, you can see Prahlad Maharaj, he is not directly refuting, but he is throwing a different light everywhere. He is saying, yeah, that is true, and by the way, these are the extra reasons. This is also true, by the way, these many reasons are there, like that. This way, he is belittling his own position as a pure devotee of the Lord, and instead he is glorifying Hanumanji as the greater recipient of Lord's mercy. I'll finish here. Any questions or comments? After 1,000 years, he started to recite. So his whole realization comes after 1,000 years. So there is the tug of war that keeps on going back and forth. And then Gajendra is realizing, he is looking around, my relatives, wives, kids, even my friends, all they can do is just to howl, asking for help. Nobody can help me. Then he says, there is only one person who can help me. Gajendra didn't even know who he was praying to. Okay, so he just says, one who is all powerful. At that time, it's mentioned, Indra thinks maybe it's me. And then he says, one who is all powerful, who is the creator of even Indra. Then Indra is thinking, hey, that's not me. And then like that it says, oh, one who is the creator of this universe, Brahmaji is thinking. And then he says, one who creates even this universe and Brahma. And then Brahma is like taking a step back. Like that it goes to Shiva. Shiva is also taking back. And finally all his descriptions suit for only one person. Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai. And then they come down. Yeah, thank you very much. That prayer is for me. And then Vishnu comes. Yes.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for interesting class. And you just mentioned a story which occurs between Srila Prabhupada and Jataka Swami. And please, can you provide us more details how we should act? Just give a how what you should act when spiritual
Yeah, good question. How should we take if a guru glorifies a disciple? Two things come to my mind. I was once in a Vyasa Puja of His Holiness Bir Krishna Goswami Maharaj. Maharaj was here in person in one of the devotees' home. And Maharaj gave, initially there was Kirtan, Maharaj gave a class. And after the beautiful class, Maharaj says, okay, now we have come to to my favorite part of my Vyasa Puja. It was his Vyasa Puja. And he says, my favorite part of my Vyasa Puja is to hear glorification about me. And then he laughed and he says, I know you must be in a state of shock hearing me say that. And then Maharaj qualified what he said, and he said, throughout the year, I run around trying to think that I'm being useful in Srila Prabhupada's mission to fulfill the order of my Guru. Now when I hear you glorifying me, telling me how I played a significant role, or whatever tiny role that is in your life, that's what gives me hope that yes, I didn't waste my whole year last year, I did something useful in the service of Prabhupada, so there is some hope that Prabhupada will accept my service. You understand? So that's one thing to actually remember. Second point is, whenever a guru glorifies a disciple's proper mood to accept that is, I am insignificant. It's only due to the mercy of my Guru that I was able to do something. In fact, I was just engaged in his hands as just an instrument. Through me, he is doing. That's all. And my only credit here is, I am the fortunate recipient of his mercy. That's all. And if the disciple maintains that mood, then on one hand, the disciple can accept the acknowledgement of the Guru that the disciple is indeed doing something useful for Guru, but at the same time, the disciple won't get carried away by the egoistic feeling that like, yeah, I did something great here. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he exemplifies what's the proper mood to get empowered. Another analogy comes to mind. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's given that the path of bhakti which a devotee takes is like a snake. It's given. Snake doesn't go in straight line. Have you seen? It goes. So you don't know at every step what is the will of Krishna. You have to keep bending. So that analogy is given. Anyway, side point. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, at the beginning of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, I am so fallen. Even if somebody hears my name, they will lose all their punya. He writes like that. But then at the end of Chaitanya Charitamrita, he says, whoever reads this book and worships Lord Chaitanya, they'll be blessed with the eternal seva of Radha Krishna. But whoever tries to understand Radha Krishna without going through Chaitanya as given here, even if he is Lord Brahma, he cannot understand Krishna. Like that he says. Now as he become proud, initially before writing the book, he feels very humble, but after writing the book, haha, I finished. Not like that. A Vaishnava simultaneously feels incapable and confident also. Incapable on his or her own capability to be able to do, but at the same time very hopeful and confident that by mercy of Guru, that's why we say Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim. By mercy of Guru, one can, even a lame person can scale great mountains. Even a deaf and dumb person can actually become a great orator, like that. So simultaneously we need to understand these 2 points. Alone I am incapable, but by mercy of Guru anything is possible. And if for some reason, somehow, if I end up doing something good, it's not because of me. Remember, my position is this only, but by mercy of Guru I am able to do here. So whatever credit that's due here is simply because of my Guru. Prabhupada's mood was like that. In one pastime it's given, one disciple of Prabhupada, he's saying, have you seen photos of Prabhupada sometime walking into the room and everyone is bowing down? Have you seen it? So in one instance, they were doing Premadhwani, Prabhupada ki jai, jai, like that. As Prabhupada is walking, and at one point, one disciple says, he was bowing down, and they are all saying, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, and they are all saying jai. Prabhupada is also saying jai. And then this devotee is saying, huh? He's looking up. Then he's saying instantly, looking at Prabhupada, he had this realization that he's telling to his Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he's saying jai, like that. Okay, so this is the proper mood. So we don't, for accepting, to think that I am the doer, that's on platform of false ego. To think that I'm not the doer is also on the platform, I can't do it. That's also on the platform of false ego. That comes under the category of people I told you, oh Prabhuji, I'm so fallen, I cannot do anything. Prasadam Allaman, I'm qualified, That's both are false ego. We are not qualified at all. Like one disciple goes to Prabhupada and says, Prabhupada, I'm the most fallen, please protect me, I'm the most fallen. Prabhupada says, you are not the most anything, you are simply insignificant. Like that Prabhupada goes. Prabhupada had very interesting answers. In one place, one devotee, there was a tree that was leaning on a neighboring property. So devotees tell him, if you don't cut the branches, the tree can damage the building. So this devotee ends up chopping off all the branches. There was only a trunk. Big trunk left. Prabhupada goes to the temple after a long time. When he goes there, he looks at it, in Dallas temple. When he looks at it, Prabhupada gets upset. Who did this? And then he calls the temple president, he chastises him. And the temple president says, no Prabhupada, it was leaning back, the tree is already dead. Prabhupada is saying, tree dead, look at the green twig coming. Prabhupada is noticing that also. If it's dead, how can a fresh green twig come? Unnecessary. And then he goes, and then this devotee bows down to Prabhupada in his room and he says, sorry Prabhupada, was I offensive? Prabhupada said, not offensive, ignorant. Prabhupada says like that. Prabhupada was very precise when he corrects people for what purpose. Okay, so we have to understand that alone we cannot do anything. Alone we can't even practice bhakti. We can't chant Hare Krishna. We can't be Hare Krishna. But by mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of our spiritual masters, we can do whatever little we can. Same way, alone we can't preach. So same understanding we have to extend to that also. Alone we can't preach. Alone I can't be a Brahmana. Alone I can't do any seva for Radha Gopinath. But by mercy of Prabhupada, mercy of my Guru, I am able to do. So I should do something at least. Not that when it comes to taking mercy, I am most fallen, I cannot do, alone I can't do. And then when the Guru says, okay, I have given you mercy, go and do. No, Gurudev, I am unqualified. That's false ego. False humility. That's not benefiting anyone. It doesn't benefit Krishna, doesn't benefit Prabhupada, doesn't benefit any fallen conditioned soul. Okay, so finding that balance is always good. Okay, we understand alone we are insignificant, and we also understand anything is possible by mercy of Krishna and Guru. And through them, yes, it is possible. And if a credit comes, we give the credit back to the Guru. Gurudev, it's only because of your mercy I'm able to do. Please kindly keep engaging me in your mercy, in your service, like that. Okay? Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji.
This tune which we are reading, I find it hard to kind of match the speed or rhythm together. Is it possible here to slow down and maybe alter or
Yeah, you can do. Anyone likes to read the verses? You can read even before the class starts. You don't need to wait for me. You can use the mic and you can just... That's fine. There are only few people even after I come. It doesn't matter. You can just start. No, you can take turns and start. So you start, and then whoever wants to, even you can, if you want to start reciting, you can start. That's what we used to do before COVID. Many things before COVID I have to remind everyone. So you recite, you can take turns, you can do, and then after you finish reading, we can start the class. You don't wait for me. So you start the recitation beforehand. If any one of you want to do kirtan, sit and do kirtan, no problem. Okay. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki jai, Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Sri Shri Gauranitai ki jai, Samaveda Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Shri Radha Gopinath's devotees ki jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.